show. And as usual, the news tends to stockpile over the weekend. And today is no different. Give the show a like and a share anywhere you're watching. Give it a like and a share anywhere you are watching. We'll have some fun on the Monday edition of the I Love Seville show. Young Jedi. You like that nickname, Young Jedi?
I'll take it. Young
Jedi. Joey Rifkin running solo today. I think you guys have noticed last week he crushed the show and was hitting just fire takes all week long. Judah Woodcower is enjoying a little fun in the sun with his family in the Outer Banks. And Joey is in the director's seat by himself. A lot we're going to cover. We are hearing some development plans for the High Street area that we will relay to you. We will also talk why we don't think there's a housing crash on the horizon. And much more, including the cities with the best pizza. If there's one thing you know about the Rifkins, pizza is in their blood. That's safe to say, right?
Very safe to say.
I mean, Stu is passionate about pizza.
He's a big pizza guy. He's a big guy in general, a big pizza guy.
He's an A-plus guy. He's probably going low on the golf course right now as we speak. We love you, Stu. And spoke to him this morning on the way into work, actually. And I was hyping you to him. And he was beaming. I felt it through the phone with pride. Rifkin has just been on point, Joey. And today he's going solo. Guys, a development on High Street that I got to relay to you. We need to talk a city council race with Scuttlebutt. And I can't relay the Scuttlebutt yet for this city council race, but it's going to be serious and impactful who's potentially getting in the race. We'll talk about that on today's show. We will talk the 10 cities with the best pizza in the world, and then where you may find the best pizza around Seville. That Syracuse football game was pretty brutal. I don't know if you guys watched that on Friday night. I certainly did. Scott Aaronworth, hello. The pizza topic in here for you, Scott, is literally because of you, Scott. We're talking pizza today because of you. Joey and I and Judah certainly appreciated your generosity on Friday afternoon, bringing us the Lampo pizza. That was quite a treat for us as we were getting ready for the programs. Let's welcome Richmond, Virginia to the program, Short Pump to the show, Crozet, downtown Charlottesville, Belmont, Keswick, Earlysville to the program, folks in Norfolk, Northern Virginia, Arlington on the heat map. Let us know where you're watching. Put it in the feed and I will relay it live on air. The King of Virginia Beach, Scott Aaronworth himself on the feed. Today's going to be dynamite. Travis Hackworth in Danville. What up, dog? Danny O'Day, D-O-D. What up, dude? How you doing, Danny O'Day? Hammer that like button. We work hard for you. The only thing we ask in return is you like and share the show. I'd love to see the King of Redfields if he's watching the program right now, Bobby Yarborough. We love Bobby Yarborough on the program. Joey, things are looking good, man. You're doing A-plus work. I'm ready to rock and roll when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Guys, welcome to the I Love Seville show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. We have an audience that is Charlottesville, Central Virginia, Commonwealth country, and worldwide on the I Love Seville network. We are live on every social media platform known to mankind. Today's show is presented by the Clifton in Keswick. Mark your calendars for this Thursday. Gatlin Canyon is playing, a bluegrass band of talented proportions. We will be there. Reservations required, but there's no entry fee. Gatlin Canyon at the Clifton this Thursday. A lot I want to cover on today's program. I want to talk pizza. I want to talk development. I want to talk city council. I want to talk housing. I want to talk college football. I want to talk the future of Charlottesville on today's show. Please tell your friends about the I Love Seville show. Spread the gospel. We work hard for you. The only thing we ask in return is you share the program. I want to wish all our viewers and listeners, all our Jewish viewers and listeners, a Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all you guys. We love you. on this network and this program, and we certainly appreciate your viewership and listenership. So first we'll talk housing, and then we'll get to city council. There are 3 spots up for grabs in the city council race. 3. Michael Payne, Ceta McGill, Lloyd Snook. I'm hearing rumblings and grumblings about 2 folks in the city that may be entering this race. We know Mayor Lloyd Snook is going to run for re-election. He made that announcement on the I Love CVille show months ago. We would expect Michael Payne is going to run again for city council. I do not expect Ceta McGill to run again. I am hearing, and I wouldn't characterize it as the rumor mill. I would take it a few notches above the rumor mill, notches heading toward the truth fact category. So if the rumor mill is, say, how do I put this in perspective? Let's say like the rumor mill is here, if you're looking on screen, I call it a few slots above. That 2 ladies in this community, I'm not going to mention the names until I can get 100% confirmation. But folks that you know quite well from social media, folks that you would characterize potentially as activists, are contemplating, if not ready to rock and roll, with a push for the 2023 Charlottesville City Council election. That topic coming up on the I Love CVille show. Carol Thorpe, the Queen of Jack Jewett, we love you. Carol Thorpe. Carol Thorpe is as informed as any in this community. We love when you watch the program, Carol Thorpe. I want to talk housing, then I'll talk development and politics, and then we'll talk TikTok with young Jedi Joey Rifkin. We'll talk pizza with young Jedi Joey Rifkin, and more on today's program. First, let's talk housing. I put this in succinct fashion on the I Love CVille network last night, and it is going viral. In my opinion, there will not be a housing crash or bubble popping because of the following reasons. You can find this on our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, anywhere you get your content on I Love CVille. We're far and wide. From an influencer standpoint, there's no brand that influences more in the community than I Love CVille, and that's fact. It's fact. In my opinion, there will not be a housing crash or bubble popping because of the following reasons. A, Americans who purchased homes before December 31st, 2020 have a boatload of equity in their cribs. 2, Americans who purchased and or refinanced cribs before March 31st, 2022 are enjoying interest rates of 4.5% or lower. 3, housing inventory is very low, which is helping to maintain home values. 4, Americans who have an interest rate of 4.5% or lower have no motivation to sell their homes, which is further minimizing housing inventory. This trend also helps maintain home values. 5, home builders, especially the smaller ones, are very cautious about new builds or spec homes. The risk profile just is not there, which is further minimizing housing inventory. So if Americans have ridiculously low interest rates, and many of them do, if home builders are hesitant to build spec homes, and let's cut to the chase, demand is still there for the Charlottesville area, I think the values of our homes are going to be insulated and protected from some national markets or national trends like we're seeing in the West Coast, San Francisco, for example. I also think we have to appreciate more than ever the value proposition of the University of Virginia, attracting quality jobs and the high net worth individuals that come with those jobs to the area. And as these folks seek Charlottesville for employment because they're on the University of Virginia supply chain, they're scooping up housing stock and inventory, which once again is maintaining our values. There's just not houses for sale. I don't see a bubble or a housing crash in this area. I offer that perspective because that topic is on the tips of everyone's tongue. We're brainwashed and manipulated by the national media. But the trends that happen here in Charlottesville and in Central Virginia, different than some of these other markets. So let's get that positive news out there. Now, what could make the Charlottesville market a little bit volatile? Well, politics. Leadership in Charlottesville City. There are 3 spots on council up for grabs next year. We're about a year away from that. November, the election, so call that 13 months and change. Lloyd Snook's spot is up for re-election, Michael Payne's spot is up for re-election, and Sena McGill's spot is up for re-election. I do not expect Sena McGill to run again. I do expect Michael Payne to run again. In fact, Michael Payne's primary source of income is likely the $18,000 or $19,000 he's making as a counselor here in Charlottesville. Lloyd Snook has made it very clear on this network. He first announced that he will run for re-election. I think Mayor Snook has done a hell of a job. Don't you guys? In fact, he's walking by right there. I think he's done a hell of a job. Love that guy. We're hearing rumblings that two individuals, city residents, activist community, females, are seriously considering, if not already made the decision, that they will run for council next year. I will not make that announcement of who these two ladies are until I get official confirmation, and I'm working on it now. Regardless, I want to get this percolating in the news cycle. Should these two run, I think they have a legitimate opportunity of not only impacting races significantly, but potentially winning them. I'm very curious to see how the city voters respond to potentially two activists running after a 4-year tumultuous tenure from two-time Mayor Nakia Walker on the dais. To be determined. Comments are already coming in fast and furious. Bobby Yarborough, the king of Redfields, is watching the program. He says, I agree with your housing comments. On a related note, I also encourage everyone to come visit the home for sale just next to me on Hayrake Lane in Redfields. That's the king of Redfields. Redfields, I used to live there. One of the best neighborhoods in Albemarle County. Close to everything. Redfields holds its value and appreciates. The house next to Bobby Yarborough not only would be a phenomenal investment, but you got some of the best neighbors in Central Virginia, and Stacy and Bobby Yarborough. DOD, Danny O'Day, all great news for those that already own their homes, but certainly more evidence that those in my age bracket are either getting trapped in rent cycles or being pushed out of the area if they want to. If you want to talk housing at all, young Jedi, and the difficulties of rent and housing, I'm happy to do that. If not, no biggie, I can stay on it. Carol Thorpe, Queen of Jack Jewett, as connected a viewer and listener on this program. Carol Thorpe is as connected as anyone that watches the show. She follows the news in this locality closer. I would say this, Carol, you follow it even closer than I do, and I'm on this like white on rice, like super close, like linen on a pillow, like mildew in my bathroom shower. Carol says, I think we're hearing the same little birdies singing about potential runs for council. My understanding is that one of them is only interested to run with two like-minded others so that this person would begin the term in a presumptive voting majority. Carol, I have heard similar things. And I'll pose this imaginatory scenario, Carol Thorpe. If the two activists that we're hearing through the water cooler chitter chatter or through the Charlottesville City grapevine do choose to run, and if they run on a co-ticket together and encourage their massive social media followings to only vote them in November 2023, the impact of that political science and strategy would be dramatic, impactful, and potentially victorious. I am working to confirm this news. It will be the first reported on or by any media outlet in Central Virginia. I've offered context clues already for those that follow this as closely as we do, for you to dot the I's and cross the T's and put 1 and 1 equals 2 together. Carol Thorpe, I think I've done a good job with the context clues. Would you agree with that? Without saying it directly? Vanessa Parkhill says, I know you're not making an announcement and I have no inside knowledge, but I want to go on the record with a prediction. One of the women you're referring to is Socialist Dog Mom, who you referred to multiple times on your show. I will say this, Vanessa Parkhill, I appreciate your comments. My birdies are not confirming it's Socialist Dog Mom, aka Molly Cogner, who does a phenomenal job on Twitter covering city council. It is, my birdies are not saying Molly Cogner as one of the two. So I will offer clarity on that. That is not what my sources who are reliable and connected are saying. But I do appreciate this comment. I mention this live on air. Period, enter, publish, respond to the Queen of Earlysville, Vanessa Parkhill, one of our favorite viewers and listeners. Carol agrees that I've offered fantastic context for who this could be. No, Danny O'Day. It is not Molly Cogner. It is not Molly Cogner, DOD. I see your comment here on my Facebook page. But I can see why folks would anticipate or could interpret my context clues as it being her. I think Molly is very much focused, and she's fabulously talented on this. Please tell Molly this. She covers local government better than anyone. She's fantastic at what she does, and I encourage anyone that's watching this program to please support her. Please support her. Donate to her, cover, her Patreon, whatever donation method she has on Twitter, do it please. I'll try to confirm and see if I can get that news to you tomorrow or Wednesday. Next topic we can go to the two-shot. You want to go TikTok?
Yeah, we can talk about TikTok.
Let's get the young Jedi in the mix. Joey Rifkin, say it loud and proud. Joey Rifkin. Your weekend, was it good?
Very good.
Thought you did a phenomenal job on Friday.
Thank you.
I don't know if you heard any feedback. I watched the show. I generally watch a lot of them in replay, and I was in particular focused on that one because it was your second day in training. Now today, your first official payday. I want to compliment you. I think you picked things up extremely quick. As Judah said at the end of the day, dude is bright, if not brilliant. I said to your pops this morning on the way in, we were talking some business, that you have a take and you know how to deliver it, and that's a talent. So I'd like to get the TikTok news out there, and you certainly have a take on TikTok. This is a Chinese-owned company. TikTok could face a $20 million fine from the UK, United Kingdom, for failing to protect children's privacy. Jesus, Joey. The Information Commissioner's Office said it had provisionally found that TikTok breached data protection between May 2018 and July 2020. TikTok may have processed the data of children under 13 years of age, Joey, without parental consent and failed to present information to its users in a way that's easy to understand. The ICO, the Information Commissioner's Office, noted that its findings are provisional and not final. TikTok now has 30 days to come up with a response. TikTok is owned by the Chinese government. I'll get out of your way. Anywhere you want to go on this topic. Joey Rifkin.
I mean, personally, I think a big part of why this is gaining so much traction right now is just the whole TikTok is owned by China narrative. And I think personally you can switch TikTok with the word Facebook and you have the same article. Sorry, it's getting impossible to talk with the feedback in my ears. But yeah, I think you can replace TikTok with Facebook, and you get, you know, it sounds very similar to me. I mean, I don't think, you know, major corporations that have our privacy data are protecting it as well as China is either. So, and in terms of them not protecting children's data, I mean, again, I think Facebook did exactly the same thing. So I think the fact that China is involved is what is really raising the red flags to people. But when, you know, some American capitalist does it, it's business.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair take. I'll play devil's advocate with you for the sake of a talk show. And he's right. There's been Facebook breaches, privacy breaches. In fact, all the social platforms probably have some kind of breach of some capacity. Instagram, we've seen documented evidence that Instagram is not, from a mental health standpoint, great for teenagers, especially female teenagers, because of the filter settings, and everyone thinks that this is real life and real world, but the reality is it's the value proposition of a filter and what a filter can make you look like. For the sake of a talk show, though, Young Jedi, Facebook, American-owned, Instagram, American-owned, same company, WhatsApp, same company, Mark Zuckerberg. Do I put a lot of trust and confidence in Mark Zuckerberg? No, but perhaps more so than the communist Chinese government. Snapchat, American-owned, LinkedIn, American-owned. For me, I've got to believe, at least I hope or cross my fingers, that the American-owned social platforms that we live upon have more positive or hopeful or genuine intentions than a Chinese-owned platform, communist, that has beef and issues with America. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I actually totally agree with you on that. I think from an American viewpoint, you would want to feel safe in the fact that the American-owned apps are taking your data and your privacy seriously, and it is very reasonable to believe that, or at least very reasonable to be a bit concerned on, okay, well, why is China now harvesting our children's data, and what are they doing with it, and why do they want it? So I totally agree with that, and what I say to that is also, like, maybe there's a reason why you don't see mainstream apps and social media platforms that are owned by China. Somehow, some way, TikTok, you know, managed to break through into the mainstream across the world, and now China's in everyone's pockets, and that's up to the consumer now on how to deal with that.
I'm a parent of a 4.5-year-old, my wife and I. Now, obviously, a 4.5-year-old is not on social media, but you are 22 years old. You know social media, in particular TikTok, inside and out. Would you, with a boatload of parents watching this program right now, would you allow your 12 or 13-year-old son or daughter to download TikTok and utilize TikTok unsupervised?
No, no, I wouldn't. I think also I will not to do any sort of fear mongering or really have parents beat down on their kids about their electronic use or social media use, but just be very knowledgeable about social media in general and how that can be so negatively impactful on your child's mental health. And for me, that's just a big part of it. I think a lot of the content, you also just don't know what kind of content is going to be fed to your child. Whether it's appropriate for the way you want to raise your child or not is who knows. And I can tell you that there's plenty of stuff out there on TikTok, even though it's marketed as a children's app. There's plenty of stuff out there on the app that I wouldn't want my 12-year-old to be looking at and watching. So if you are going to make that choice to give your child access, have it be supervised if you can, or regulate it in some way in your household. But personally, no, I wouldn't give TikTok in particular, no. Instagram, no. Snapchat, no.
Why? Because of the despairing nature of the content?
I think
With Snap
is less about Snap and Instagram, maybe less about the content itself, because TikTok, it's less about the social interaction aspect from what I've seen, and it's more about for most people, you're looking at videos, throughout the day, but you go on someone's Instagram profile, they have their own pictures, they have their own bio, and they're really their Instagram feed is a lot more specifically catered to them, and I guess I'm going on a tangent now.
No, I like the tangent. People are appreciating it.
I would just say, TikTok and Snapchat are worse for your children's mental health. I would just say because, you see, I think subconsciously kids are comparing themselves to other kids, seeing what they see on social media, comparing themselves to celebrities and stuff, and maybe that's how I'm supposed to look when I'm grown up or whatever, and it plants that false image in their mind. And then also, cyberbullying is a big thing. People joke and say all you have to do is shut the computer, but I can't imagine how much that would suck for a kid to come home and deals with bullying at school and then comes home and now has to deal with it on his phone. So that's part of it.
I was talking with a friend of the program, a father, and he mentioned to me that he was getting his oldest a phone strictly for texting and phone call purposes, not web surfing, but you want a kid to have a phone to be able to reach their parents.
Yeah.
And this particular parent wanted to purchase an Android for his oldest, and the oldest had a meltdown because it was an Android and not an iPhone. And that the iPhone was the status symbol, that if he had an Android, he would even feel comfortable utilizing the Android in front of other people. That's how much these have become status symbols.
Yeah, I actually experienced that firsthand. And
you did?
100%, I did. I thought it was so dumb. My first actual iPhone, I think, was in 8th grade. My dad gave me his old iPhone 4S, and I was
very generous.
Very generous.
Yeah.
I was super excited. Totally unexpected. Nicest phone I've ever had. I'm 13 years old. And I'm this is cool. I go into school, and this was around the time when those colored iPhones came out. This was that year, and it was after winter break, everyone comes back with their brand new colored iPhone and everything, and I had my 4S, which I still thought was sick, and I remember people oh, you only have like the old iPhone. And I'm like, I'm a like 13-year-old. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember as a 13-year-old, it kind of bugged me a little bit. It's like, it's embarrassing that people are picking on me for like the phone I have, but like in hindsight, it's just so dumb. But I see where, I mean, that is like, a thing that kids are worrying about too as a status symbol. And that was, something that it wasn't bad, but witnessed firsthand. Kids are definitely like, oh, you have the old phone, you have an Android, like what's that all about? So I get how that they could have that reaction, because all in all, they just want to fit in. And so if there's something that's going to make it harder for them to fit in.
Oprah Winfrey said people want two things in life. They want to be seen, or three things. They want to be seen, heard, and understood. Three things they want as humans: seen, heard, and understood. Yancey's watching the program in Waynesboro. Little comment for Joey Rifkin, the young Jedi. China's a communist country. They're bent on spreading their ideology and stealing intellectual property. No comparison to us here in the country. I think Joey's take was more that none of them could be trusted. I think that's kind of what you were saying.
I don't want to. I'm not out here defending China, and I'm not saying we need some sort of social credit system and things like that. But what I am saying is, well, Facebook, has been shown to be not the best with,
privacy.
Our own privacy.
Yeah.
So I'm in no way defending China at all, but I am totally saying it does not mean all of these American companies are great.
I love it. He's on fire today. Give Joey Rifkin some props, guys. So here's an interesting comment. Jennifer watching the program. Jerry, I love your show. As you know, we're University of Virginia graduates, my husband and I, and we routinely put your talk show on in our law office. We're doing that again today. We watched Friday's show, and I was very compelled with Joey offering firsthand perspective of his time on school buses. He also mentioned on Friday's show that politically he most aligned with a socialist ideology. Can you ask Joey to offer some more perspective on that? I'm curious and I'm willing to listen to learn, as you like to say. Oh, I like that.
I like that. I mean, constructive conversation.
Yeah. So she wants and we don't have to go anytime. I sincerely mean this. Anytime you don't want to do it, just let us know. I can take it from there. I completely get it. She just wants to know from 22 politically why you align with a socialist line of thinking. We totally do not have to go down this road if you don't want to, though.
I mean, I can go. I mean, personally, from in the past few years, I've more kind of leaned towards that. I spent my first year out of high school living in downtown Los Angeles, witnessed a lot of wealth inequality, and it got to the point where it was kind of hard to even like look at someone that was, let's say, a celebrity and know that, like, LA, it's Hollywood Hills looking over probably like one of the worst homeless situations in the country, some of the poorest people in the country. And it was just hard to like look at that, and I just couldn't justify that in my head. And I thought there's got to be some bigger issue here. And the more I looked into it, the more I found that I don't feel the way capitalism is running in America is the way that it should be run. I think capitalism as an idea is not the capitalism that we have here in America.
How so? Dude, this guy is smart, isn't he?
Well, before I say anything, I want to preface this with my only knowledge is documentaries that I've watched, articles I've read.
You've also lived in LA, which is...
I lived in Los Angeles for a short period of time, but that's not the only real experience I get from that is just firsthand experiencing just how bad it is for people.
Huge wealth gap, probably the epicenter of wealth gap, LA, New York City, San Francisco, and you grew up in Charlottesville, wealth gap certainly here.
Yeah, and I just think the more I was just reading about the wealth gap and wealth inequality, I think employees should own the business. I think they should benefit more. I don't believe in, private ownership of certain things, and whatever. I think it was for me. I just saw there was a big wealth inequality, and for me personally, I don't agree with that too much. I feel there are different ways to combat it. But again, I am also highly uneducated. I barely made it through high school. I moved to Los Angeles thinking I could be a filmmaker, so that shows my level of intelligence right there. So, but that's all I'll say, I guess.
I will say this. The young Jedi, while showcasing some vulnerability here, I've spent now 3 days and change with him. I find him to be incredibly well-read, incredibly well-spoken, a man who has something to say and knows how to deliver it well, a man that is fantastic on camera and behind a microphone. He literally picked up directing the show in 5 hours, no BS. My wife gave me a hard time for using some profanities on Friday, so I'm trying to cut those out. Evidently, there's a lot of folks that watch the program that are streaming the show on however they get their podcasts with their kids in the car. My wife and son included, so I'm working on that again. But I disagree with you. I don't find you to be uneducated at all. In fact, I find you to be quite savvy, sophisticated with your perspective, and your firsthand perspective from LA, I think, is very tangible and palpable. My brother also lives in Los Angeles, in Culver City. He's got a fantastic job. I won't say who or what he works for, but fantastic job. Great spot, expensive spot. I'd say probably in the neighborhood of 1.6, 1.7 from a cost standpoint. 1,400 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, tiny backyard. Pretty, new construction, but right outside his house, you got 8 to 10 people living in tents. Literally outside his house, on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I lived
and they could do nothing about it.
No, and I mean, I lived in downtown Los Angeles, which anyone who is from Los Angeles, if Judah was here, I'm sure he'd have something to say about it. Everyone in Los Angeles knows that downtown is not it's not like Manhattan. It's not, what you imagine when you think of the downtown of a city. It's not the place where you want to be.
Well, how would you describe downtown Los Angeles?
Well, I mean, a big part of downtown Los Angeles is Skid Row is right in the middle of it. And so...
What's Skid Row? See, look at that. He's educating us. I don't know what Skid Row is.
For people who don't know what Skid Row is a sectioned off part of Los Angeles County. It is in downtown Los Angeles. Specifically... I mean, I don't even know how it even works. It's just abandoned storefronts, abandoned buildings on the middle of this city with these massive buildings, and it's just homeless people with severe mental illness just wandering the streets. You'll tell, exactly when you're in Skid Row because there's literally walls. The street lights are specifically a different color so that it's closely resembles a prison yard. The streetlights are literally a more fluorescent, bright white color than a dark yellow color. And it's bad. It's really sketchy. And all around downtown Los Angeles, there's about 1 block where you're cool walking around until 10 o'clock at night. And then it's you really don't want to be walking around too much farther down there. And it's weird. I mean, we were paying $3,400 a month before utilities for a 1,100 square foot 2-bedroom apartment between 4 guys.
Man.
And we were on the 2nd floor.
2 dudes per room?
1 dude, 1 room, 1 dude the other. One guy had a bed set up in this side closet. I don't even know how to describe it, but there was probably a 100 square foot little section in the corner that he put his bed in, and
the breakfast nook.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other guy slept on the couch the entire year. And then
the guy who slept on the couch was paying rent?
Oh yeah, I mean less than all of us, but he was still paying rent. And
did you get a room?
I got the room. Yeah.
Okay.
I had a room, but literally the street next to us was just a line of makeshift tents, and once a month the police would come. They would call it moving day, clear them all out, within an hour or a day, they're all back. And it was bad. I mean, you'd walk around at night and you'd just see people sleeping everywhere. Every overpass, there's just a bunch of people sleeping. So it was, it's everywhere. I mean, it is everywhere except Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive. They're really good at cleaning up that area. But I mean,
so this helps shape, and understandably so, viewers and listeners. Dude's offering, again, genuine and humanized and personalized commentary, which I think makes Joey Rifkin fantastic broadcaster. I'll get to comments, and Joey is killing it. Danny just put it on the feed. Joey is killing it right now. People have questions for you, coming in for you. So we want to tie this to Charlottesville. Okay, we want to tie this to Charlottesville. There is undoubtedly, Joey, a momentum in Charlottesville. Whether people love it or hate it, it is real and it's happening. A socialist movement is happening in Charlottesville. Mm-hmm. And it's very much for similar reasons that you are identifying. The haves are getting more and more and more, and the have-nots are getting less and less and less. And we're seeing it with housing, where COVID has made real estate more expensive than ever. COVID is depleting the collateral damage of COVID. The collateral damage of COVID has depleted what a lot of folks see as public utilities, public schools. School bus drivers we covered extremely well last week. Teachers are quitting. School bus drivers are quitting. I got a great stat for you. Public school system in Albemarle County Public School System. What was always seen as the most prestigious public school, high school in Albemarle County? Western Albemarle High School.
Yeah. Coming from Albemarle, I'll say that's debatable, but yeah.
But test score wise.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of people called it Stab West, Western Albemarle High School. When the enrollment in Western Albemarle High School and in Henley Middle School, the enrollment is dropping. And I think that says a lot. It's a microcosm of what the public schools are going through here. So there's undoubtedly this socialistic movement or momentum that's happening locally because the haves are getting more and the have-nots are getting less. The public schools are being depleted. I covered last week where if we're not careful, the public schools, if we're not careful, will be a bastion or an epicenter for families on the financial margin where the middle class, even lower middle class and up, will be going to private schools, and that's what no one in this studio wants. We do not want that to happen. So we're seeing that movement in Charlottesville where socialistic ideology is gaining momentum and speed at a pretty great clip. Tied to Charlottesville. You grew up here. You spent significant time at the downtown mall. I would say there's not many Rifkins in town, right?
Pretty fair
to say. Folks know at one time your dad, who I'm a huge fan of, owned the Nook, ran a boatload of restaurants, owned the College Inn. Talented man, Renaissance man, if you may.
Yeah.
So you know Charlottesville.
Yeah. The College Inn kind of ties into my point, actually.
Go. Oh, dude, if you make the point I think you're going to make, you're going to hit a freaking grand slam right now.
I think I might be making the point. I mean, so for context, the College Inn had been around since 1953.
9/7/2710. College Inn kept me alive in college at the University of Virginia. It was either meatball subs, Italian slubs, slices of cheesecake, the freaking pizza. I don't even know my wife's phone number, but I know 9/7/2710.
Can't forget. Well, you can now because it doesn't exist.
Your point is going to be good. I know where you're going to go now.
But anyway, so the College Inn had been open a very long time. My dad had only recently came into the picture about 4 or 5 years before. Long story short, COVID comes around. Our lease is up, and look into. I don't want to go into like too much detail, obviously, but lease is up. Need to renew the lease, but business doesn't have enough money to pay what we need to pay, so still in the middle of a pandemic, let's see, what was it? 89% of small businesses couldn't even get like PPE loans anyways, so Thankfully, we were fortunate enough to get some, but we had already completely gone through it by that point. Still had over 20 people on payroll at the time. And long story short, landlord just wouldn't back down, wanted the price he wanted, and good old multi-billion-dollar corporation with multiple locations in Charlottesville already. Chipotle walks in, doubles our offer for rent, and that was the end of the College Inn right there. And
they doubled it?
I mean, something like that. I don't know the exact number, of course, but I'm going to say, they were...
And they pumped a boatload of money into rehabilitating the building.
I wouldn't say... I don't know if they doubled it. That's probably... I'm sure my dad would actually rip into me for saying that, because that's probably fairly inaccurate. But
I believe he's watching now. No pressure.
They definitely were willing to pay more than we could afford, and that was obvious. And not only that, they spent over $1 million in refurbishing the entire building. And the biggest problem for me when that happened wasn't, oh my God, I can't get free pizza anymore. The biggest problem for me was, oh my God, here's poor Carla, who's been delivering pizzas here for the past 20-something years, and now she's just lost her job because Chipotle wants to come in. And Charlottesville already has 2 Chipotles. This is the 3rd one, and there will be a 4th one. So, I mean, come on, how much E. coli chicken can we be eating?
Joey Rifkin is so good in this setting. Vanessa Parkhill is giving you some props in Earlysville. Vanessa Parkhill, the queen of Earlysville, if you may, literally says, I love that Joey is willing to share firsthand perspective and his experiences. I completely agree. And that's what humanizes, personalizes, and localizes broadcasters and shows like this, where they're able to share real-life stuff. Carol Thorpe, Jack Jewett, says this, I have yet to see her addressing you. She's addressing you. Viewers and listeners, do it. Only respect. We don't mind being challenged. He's got thick skin. We heard last week how thick his skin was. But it's going to be in respectful fashion. Carol certainly follows that rule. Joey, I have yet to see where socialism works as it should anywhere in the world. Often misery is shared among the masses while a small elite live decidedly better than the rest. With capitalism in the U.S., a family has the opportunity in a single generation to greatly improve its station.
That is just simply, I believe, not the case anymore.
Tell me why.
I think you take any person in 2022 that is born below the poverty line, okay, which is a lot of people nowadays, and you track their progress for the next 40 years, I personally do not think that they are going to be able to turn any sort of new leaf and, suddenly become financially, free. Nowadays, a middle-class child who does not graduate from college is still more likely in the long term to make more money than a child born into poverty that went and graduated from college and accrued a bunch of debt on top of that, still on average won't make as much money as the middle class, upper middle class, uneducated person. I think it's a social thing. I am also saying, I'm not saying other countries that follow socialism are getting it right, just as much as I'm saying America did not get capitalism right. So I think there's a great documentary that people can watch called Fixing Capitalism. It's about how capitalism can work if it's done correctly, but in this day and age in America, literally describing America. Small few living off of, granted, it is not the same as other countries and dictatorships, but we are talking about, in this country, a select few living with way more than they need, and plenty more people, starving, have nothing. We're the richest country in the world, and we have, I don't even know the exact number, but thousands of people going hungry every night. How is that possible?
All right, a couple things. First, give Rifkin props. Second, I mean this in the most respectful way possible, I never want to hear the I'm not educated comment again, because you're a smart-ass dude. Excuse me, Mrs. Miller. He's a very intelligent dude. I sincerely mean that. Well-read, well-watched, have a lot of information in the medulla oblongata. Devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show. You are the offspring and the scion of entrepreneurship. Like, legitimately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I sincerely mean this, and I'm quite confident he's watching. Your dad is Renaissance and is able to put an affinity for risk, some vision, some hustle and chutzpah, and make stuff happen. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You've seen it. I've seen it. If that can happen, why can't that happen with you? As Carol has said, entrepreneurship, so you're saying, is dead. And then she backed up what I said. Don't ever say you're not educated because you're wowing people on this program. Why not take the same take? Dude, 15 years ago, this company is 15 years old in May. And when I launched this business, I was doing 6 days a week of talk radio on ESPN, syndicated radio, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and into the DC area. I was doing 2 TV shows on NBC 29, The Jerry Miller Show and Varsity Delights with Jerry Miller. Was running a website where I was publishing content every day and putting content in the newspaper every day. It was in 2007, probably in the $70,000 to $80,000 range, take home. Now I'm offering really vulnerable stuff here, okay? Which is, you're bringing it out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Props to you. 70 to 80K, 2007, 2008, single man. 2007, 2008, Charlottesville, Virginia, 70 to 80K. You're doing pretty much what you want.
Yeah.
And I said, literally, F it. I'm going to give all this up because I want to go into business for myself. I walked into the villas at Southern Ridge, the condo I own, it's a rental property now, and opened the door. And in this condo, 1,200 square feet, was my mom and dad, my girlfriend at the time, and 2 inner circle friends. And they were strategizing for an entrepreneurial intervention where they were pleading for me not to do this. And that just drove and motivated me even more. The first 6 months of launching this company, I had legitimately 0 clients. And the life savings that I had, which I believe at the time was like, I don't know, 28,000, was dwindling to next to nothing. As a result, I was going to the Panda Garden Buffet on Emmett Street. Where's the Panda Garden? It was Carmelo's. It was a kebab shop. The one on Emmett Street, kind of across from the Taco Bell, there was a buffet. And I would go there for lunch. And when the ladies weren't looking, it was like a $5.95 lunch buffet then. When the ladies weren't looking, I had the Ziploc bags, and I was literally taking food off my plate and putting it into Ziploc bags, and putting that food in my pocket for food, not only for me, but for my dog Lucy that day and the next day. And when I wasn't doing that, I was getting double cheeseburgers from McDonald's for like $1.04, because that would hold you over for a long time. Long story short, our second client was Andy McClure, Citizen Burger Bar, the Virginian, the Biltmore, and he took a chance on us, we delivered, and then the business started taking off. The point I'm going with this here, and I'm going to throw it back to you, is if you bust your tail and you grind and you sacrifice and you work 90 hours a week, and you hedge risk through hard work and through a good network, then you can make something happen. And I look at you and I see someone that is way smarter than I was, who just needs a little bit of luck, maybe a little bit more confidence, which I think you're getting being around here, and a passion to pursue.
Well, I mean...
And you do that, I think the world's I was about to say. I think I stopped. I think the world is. I think the world's your oyster.
I mean, I'm not saying that entrepreneurship as a whole is dead in today's age. I'm not saying that, if I really, focused on something and found a passion that I was, passionate about and wanted to work towards, I could turn that into some sort of career.
What is your passion?
Man, life. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I back to what you were saying though, real quick. I just personally don't think that the opportunity is there for everyone to just, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, put your head down and work, and you'll get there. I just personally don't see that as the case for everyone in America. I mean, going back to another documentary that I watched, which is People Soon Learn How I Get Most of My Information is through media.
That's how I get it.
I mean, yeah, it's a good way to get it. So, I watched this really eye-opening documentary called Most Likely to Succeed. It follows 4 group of kids. Each of them voted most likely to succeed in high school after graduating. So, for whatever reason, they were voted for that. But I mean, pretty much starting off at the same level. All two males, 2 females. 1 male, 1 female, white, 1 male, 1 female, black. Okay, nothing else about them other than that, and they've all been voted most likely to succeed by their high school peers. They follow them for 10 years, and long story short, the white girl ends up working some ridiculous job in Dubai, making 6 figures a year, living in I don't even need to get to my problems on Dubai, but living in a city built on slavery. And then you have, the 2 black kids went through voted the same way, did the same stuff in school, did equally as well in school academically. But then as they got older, they started to find out, there's the schools that they went to, they weren't learning all the things that the other kids were learning. They had different, problems at home that got in the way of their going to college. They couldn't afford college. And I just think, if you really look at it, and the big, contrasting to me was just the white girl and the black girl. The white girl grows up in this upper middle class family, big house on a ranch, loving parents, and all of her college was paid for, had her own car, didn't have a job in high school, none of that, and then ends up working in Dubai, being paid hundreds of $1,000s a year to work and live in Dubai. And then this other girl who did just as well academically, once she is out of high school, eventually flunks out of college because she can't pay for it. It takes her about 7 years or so to finally get her degree. At one point her mother gets very sick and they can barely afford it, and then her mother passes away. Now obviously those are things that are out of anyone's control and can happen to anyone, but I just think you look at those 2 people who both coming out of high school on paper are at the same level, but then you look at the end product and, the other girl was trying just as hard, if not, she might have even been trying harder, but just because, the ends doesn't show that.
Kevin Yancey is saying what you're saying. He says the deck is stacked 10 times harder against Joey and his generation than what his father faced.
And that was what I was going to say too, is absolutely zero, no offense to my dad, and he is one of the hardest working people I know, but it is not the same time that it was when he was my age. It's just not the same world we live in.
I'm in the middle of you guys. What's changed?
The internet is a big part of it.
But wouldn't the internet democratize effort and sweat equity? Because it's making resources more readily available as opposed to spending $250,000 learning business. You can figure it out much easier now on the internet. Wouldn't that democratize effort and success, the internet and access to that content?
But I think it also is just diluting the market. Now it's so easy for anyone to try out something in anything. So like a big part, like for kids, like when I was in like high school, a big way for kids trying to figure out how to make money on the internet was like drop shipping or affiliate marketing, things like that. And so like that works, for some people, but now like nowadays you have hundreds of thousands of drop shipping stores selling random garbage products from China, and they're selling them for 200% more online. It's just like there's so many people doing that. So like I don't know.
Gary Vee's the big. You follow Gary Vee at all? Not a huge fan of Gary Vee?
Not a fan.
He does he's a big push of entrepreneurship and loves to highlight the yard sale entrepreneurs that go to the yard sales, buy stuff for like a couple of bucks.
I hate that.
Why do you hate that?
Because
do you think he's taking advantage of the yard sale?
I don't even think it's not even that he's taking advantage of the yard sale. He's taking advantage of the yard sale people, and then he's taking advantage of the people who are trying to buy something off of them from eBay. Let me go to this person's house. Oh, you're selling 15 coffee mugs for $1? Oh, I'll buy it for 15 cents and sell them each for $20. It's like, come on, man. You're already a multi-millionaire because you sold wine on the internet.
Yeah.
And like took over your dad's wine business. Let's not forget, like just because his parents were, came to this country and built up a business from their own doesn't mean that he wasn't born into a business and was given an opportunity in a business. And let's not pretend like Gary Vee didn't have a leg up.
Fair take, response, devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show. I think you're hitting a grand slam. You were very good, very, very good in front of a microphone and camera. Devil's advocate, sake of a talk show. I think what Gary Vee's doing with showing people that you could go to a yard sale and buy stuff for $1 and then sell it online, and this is just for the sake of a talk show, buy stuff for $1 at a yard sale and then go and sell it online for $5, is he's showing the world that there is opportunity everywhere you look. He's not doing this necessarily to take advantage of people in the yard sale. He's doing it as like a barometer or a foundation of, look, even anyone can make money in capitalistic America if they put some sweat equity into it.
Yeah, and I am not disagreeing with that. Well, I personally don't think he's doing the yard sale thing as a, hey, look, everyone can make money in America if they just try. I think he's more doing it of like, this is something I've done and made money on. I can at least market this.
Right.
But I don't
show
agree
people
with
that they can do it.
I don't agree with that.
Because you feel like he's taking advantage of people, but that's what people are willing to sell the stuff for or pay for. Like a pizza. Let's talk. We wanted to talk pizza. We may have to keep the pizza topic for tomorrow.
We can bring pizza into this.
Yeah, like pizza. College Inn sold pizza for how much? For a large pepperoni?
You'd have to fact check with Stu in the chat, but I'd say like
Stu, how much was a large pepperoni pizza?
I'm gonna go 16.
Lampo, okay, let's see what Lampo's doing. Lampo menu. So large pepperoni.
Well, Lampo only has one size though.
Okay, and it's smaller than a large.
It's significantly smaller.
Right? Order online. Scott Airworth, you're watching. How much was the Hellboy that you brought to us on Friday for Joey, Judah, and I to eat? Multiple people are asking where Judah is. He's working on his Sunshine in the Outer Banks for the week. I think we all can concur that Joey Rifkin is crushing it right now.
Hellboy is my favorite pizza.
Hellboy is damn good. It's damn good. Scott, how much is Hellboy your favorite?
Number one favorite pizza of all time.
It's so good.
Very good.
Lauren and Mitch do a great job. Scott, how much is the Hellboy from Lampo? Can you please put it in the feed for us so we'll know? I'll see if I can find it online. Do you know off the top of your head how much it is?
No.
Yeah, neither do I.
I would.
Here, I got the menu.
Over $20.
Yeah. Okay, so the Hellboy it's listed as 18. The pepperoni, and it's smaller. Is that how much it was? $18 or so. So we put it in the feed. And the viewers and listeners are so smart. Okay. So All right, maybe we take like, where's a lower price pizza? Marco's Pizza.
Okay.
Marco's on Pantops. You can get a Marco's Pizza on Pantops for like $8, which is the same size as the Hellboy from Lampo.
Yep.
Some people are willing to spend $18 for the Hellboy, you and I. Some people are willing to spend $8 for the Marco's Pizza, a lot of other people. I'll spend $8 for the Marco's Pizza. I'm not throwing shade at Marco's. I'm definitely not throwing shade at Marco's. Marco's is one of the few places that delivers to my neighborhood. I've ordered Marco's many times in a pinch. Many times. The market determines the value. So if Gary Vee is buying, in your scenario, 15 coffee mugs for $1 each and then selling them each for $10 because there's some kind of collector's item and the yard sale people didn't realize that, was it up to Gary Vee to go to the people selling the stuff saying you got this mispriced? It really should be $10 per mug and not the $1? Or is it not up to the yard sale people to figure that out before they put a price tag on the coffee mug?
I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying there. It's not Gary Vee's job to walk up to these people and say, hey, you're getting screwed over by selling this for $1 when in reality it's worth 15. But I guess I just can't look past it.
You see it's disingenuous?
I just see it as disingenuous and just kind of like, maybe it's just because he like runs up out of his like Range Rover and the guy's following him with a camera and like gets up all in these people's face who are just like trying to clear out some. So maybe it, getting on Gary Vee isn't more about a whole thing, and it's just like the situation itself with his yard sale videos are cringy, and I feel a little demonizing to the people just trying to get rid of like some extra clutter in their house. But I will go on to say is the people who are finding what is selling the most on Amazon and then going on to AliExpress and finding that exact product that they can buy for 85 cents and then sell it on Amazon for $5. Screw those people. Like that's a problem I have. And like it's unnecessary. You're creating an unnecessary middleman, and you're just selling more and more useless garbage that the world does not need.
How is that, devil's advocate, sake of a talk show? How is that any different than buying a dozen eggs, a pack of cheese, and a loaf of bread for $3 and selling brunch menu items for $16?
Because brunch menu items has more overhead costs than just buying an item, taking it to your, and in some cases with these online drop shippers, you aren't even interacting with the item at all. You're just doing it all from your computer. The order comes in, you place the order from the producer, send it straight there. You're just an unnecessary middleman that doesn't touch anything but the money. So, but when you go buy items for a restaurant, it's completely different because those items have to be prepped by someone and then to be made into whatever is being ordered and then cooked by that person. Well, that person has to be paid an hourly wage. So that is going on to the restaurant's total overhead. And I mean, the cost of a food item at a restaurant isn't just for, oh, the ingredients cost us this much, this is how much it goes on the menu for. Everything on the restaurant menu is made to make money so they can pay their rent, their electricity, their employees, their produce guy. There's a lot more cost involved in your brunch item than some. I'm trying so hard not to curse when I'm talking about these people, but then just like some little like 15-year-old sitting on his computer selling items on AliExpress, like from AliExpress to Amazon, it's not the same as an entire business running with multiple employees that need to do something to create the product.
Joey Rifkin is crushing it right now. Viewers and listeners, is he not crushing it right now? Kevin Yancey asked you this question. If you went into a grocery store and you saw the steaks were mispriced, would you take the pack of steaks to the grocery store manager and tell him to fix the price before buying them? Or would you buy them at the mispriced amount?
Well, it depends on what the price is. That's for sure. I mean, if it's mispriced cheaper, I'm definitely not.
Would you take it at the mispriced amount?
I mean, how would I know?
I guess his point is that then not disingenuous?
I mean, his point then is it is disingenuous if you are going to take it. And so, I mean, but also you're going into a grocery store with knowledge on what the products cost. So, like, if you are going into the grocery store with that knowledge, then, and I guess, to agree with Gary Vee, he is going into these yard sales with knowledge of what these things cost.
He is.
There are plenty of people out there that know what
baseball
random types
cards,
of coins are
collectibles,
worth.
yeah.
I see plenty of videos on the internet of, look for this certain penny.
100%, me too.
And you have so much change around your house. Who knows? You might have a penny that's worth $5. To you, it's a penny worth $5. I'm not going to go fucking looking. Sorry, I'm not going to go looking for it. But if you're someone who has the knowledge of, these are the coins I need to look out for, and you find someone selling a change jar. I don't think many people sell their jars of change, but let's say you're at a yard sale, someone's got a jar of coins, and they're like, this is $10 worth of coins. You want to give me $10 for it? And there's an opportunity for there to be a valuable coin in there. Let me get it and then see what I can get. I would feel, then that is a leg up on you. So if you are going into the grocery store and you know the cost of meat and you know that this steak is mispriced and is cheaper than it's actually worth, then if you have that knowledge, you do have a leg up on the other buyers and you can buy that. But when it's, a grocery store and you're buying a mispriced item, or you're going to someone's house, seeing something that they have that they are personally selling, and for a fact you can sell that for an exuberant amount more, seems a little like, could you imagine, let's say you go to a pawn shop and you give this guy whatever you're pawning off, a pair of shoes, whatever. And
I saw at Snookies on the downtown mall, I saw a guy pawning a chainsaw.
I mean, you can pawn anything.
Yeah, you can pawn anything. As long as it has value, you can pawn anything. He's exactly right. Finish your thought.
But so let's say you bring in a chainsaw right to the pawn shop. The guy goes, I'll give you $50 for his chainsaw, but he knows this is some.
Call it a steel chainsaw, probably $2,
Yeah, something, that, whatever, something that someone's looking for, and he sells it for $500. That's going to make you feel really bad if you find out that this guy screwed you over.
Unless the guy who had the chainsaw needed the $50 really bad and couldn't find that $50 anywhere else. Like that $50 was how he kept the electricity on for his family in the winter.
And to that, I would even say, screw you to the pawn shop guy who screwed the guy who needs the $50 over out of more money.
Well, was the pawn shop guy just supposed to give the guy $50?
And that's why I am a socialist, because I think we should, it shouldn't, the bottom line shouldn't be how can I make the most money. In my opinion, I would like to take other people's social needs and their situations into account when I am doing business.
This has been a great, fantastic talk show. We literally were not planning on this whatsoever. We had an agenda that was going to include pizza, the UVA football game, and a bunch of other stuff, which we will save for tomorrow. But you, the viewers and listeners, are helping change the discussion, and he and I are adapting on the fly, which speaks to his gift and talents behind a microphone and a camera, that he can do this literally on the fly. The problem with equitable wealth distribution, which is what you're talking about. Wealth distribution in an equitable fashion where everyone gets an equal slice of the pie. You're talking about diminishing market advantages, potentially hard work, potentially someone who has an affinity for risk, potentially someone who has a strong or deep network or a gift of charm in talking with people. When you start doing equitable wealth distribution, socialism, it has a tendency of breeding choosing my words carefully here.
Complacency, laziness.
Okay, you said it. I didn't say it.
I knew what you were thinking.
You said it. I didn't say it.
Yeah.
Complacency, laziness, unwillingness to grind.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that grind and put the effort in and have the hustle and chutzpah are the ones that create the jobs for others, that are able to take a flyer on a 22-year-old that's a product from the Albemarle County Public School System that may not have an advertising agency experience, but bring them in, allocate the opportunity costs of another paid employee to train that person, and then put them on the payroll for a week while one team member's on vacation. That's what happened here.
I mean, yeah.
That's what happened here.
Yeah.
So if I knew that I was just going to get equitable wealth distribution, everyone's getting, say, $50,000, why would I have done that with you? I would have had no reason. And then jobs wouldn't be created. And new opportunities for people wanting to try new things wouldn't exist. I mean, bring it back to your pops. Has got some balls, started some businesses, and created some jobs for people. That is not going to happen when everyone's getting the same amount of money or the same slice of the cake. Show's back on you on that.
Well, I totally agree with that. And so that's why I think, economy just as a whole is such a hard thing to talk about, because it's so hard to wrap your head around, and how can this work out for everyone. And also that is why I'm not an economist and why I did not go to college for.
Yeah, but I think college is overrated.
Yeah, okay.
And I also want to say this, and I apologize for interrupting you. I don't like, Keith Smith does this from time to time on the show. I don't like the marginalization of yourself.
Okay.
I don't like that.
Okay.
From here on out, I don't want it. I sincerely mean this, like, huge potential.
Appreciate that.
Huge potential. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. Well, I mean, just like what I was getting to is that, like, I personally know that socialism, there's no empirical evidence that shows socialism has worked. But I also can say that the way capitalism is working in America is not the way that is fair. And so maybe I'm a socialist as a concrete term. I should maybe use it more loosely, I guess. But what I'm really trying to say is I want to level the playing field a little bit more. I wish that the playing field was a little bit more even for people. I just think nowadays it's way too easy for a rich white kid to sit in his house, start up any sort of brand on his iPhone, and start making money off of it than a poor kid somewhere else.
Why?
I don't know.
Why is it easier for a rich white kid to sit at his house and start a company from an ISP when compared to a poor white kid, or a rich Hispanic kid, or a poor Hispanic kid, or a rich black kid, or a poor black kid? Like, the internet and capitalism does not care if you're black, white, Puerto Rican, or Haitian. What the internet and capitalism do care about is effort and innovation and grinding and figuring out a problem or a need for a customer and filling that need or niche. Dude, this talk show, this network here, we launched 6 years ago. I was like, what happens if we take content about Charlottesville and put it in long-form fashion on social media? My wife in Judah, 6 years ago, literally said, do not do this. Do not spend, I mean, you see the setup. 3 big screen TVs, 3 Apple TVs, this table, these chairs, 2 Apple computers, these cameras, the soundboard, all this stuff is probably 30 grand. I mean, all this stuff here is probably, the lights, that light bulb, these light bulbs directly above us are $110 each. Like, all this stuff is probably 30 grand. Judah and my wife said, do not do this. And it just made me want to do it more. And we were right. And it proved to be right. Like, I don't know. I think you're, go ahead. Why don't you go? Yeah.
Well, I just think.
And I'm also mindful of time here because I know you have a lot of post-production work to get to.
Yes, I do.
To earn your income here.
Yeah, and I got Jen today.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you actually look at it, the internet kind of does care which race you are in some cases. Just recently, there was a big thing going around. Some creators were finding out YouTube is disproportionately putting white creators' content out into the algorithm more than black creators, and people feel, and there are black creators that feel they're more misrepresented on that app, and I'm inclined to agree with them. I don't think I think someone could go to say, well, it's just because your content's bad, but from the evidence they showed, I'm inclined to agree with what they're saying about there might be some sort of, I guess, looking past their content in favor of someone else's. Personally, from what I see, the most famous people today are still mostly white. I mean, you have to go look into professional sports to look at any sort of diversity except
music.
Yeah, you have to go to music and professional sports. Look at the most famous actors in Hollywood, let's say, and I still don't see, you can look at it and I would still say a majority of them are white. And I think it's, again, there are just some systemic problems in America that make it harder for people of color to succeed. And
I agree with that.
I think it's fair if someone wants to disagree with me on that, but that is what I believe, and I think
99.9% of the people watching this program understand that there is systematic disadvantages for folks of color. Housing, education, finance, that's a fact. I do not disagree with you there. Where and I respectfully do it, and I think it's great for a talk show, where I respectfully disagree is the democratization of the internet has made it a very much manifest destiny society. You get on your horse, you put your wagon behind you, you put your family in the wagon, and you get your horses, and you go to the West Coast, and you find yourself a piece of land. You call yourself, you find yourself a home, and you build a log cabin, and you pass that house down to family members, manifest destiny, gold rush. Internet is the gold rush and the land grab of centuries ago. I strongly, very much believe that because I'm living proof of it. I also am very much, and anybody who watches this program knows, and I do this in respectful fashion because you're becoming an inner circle here, am very much opposed to socialism because of the deprioritization of innovation, hard work, creativity, and the qualities it creates that we've already identified. For the sake of time, because there's post-production work, and I got to get 3 contracts out, and I already told my wife I'm going to be late coming home to the house today and missing my son's bedtime, which crushes me because I have work to do. Closing thoughts, final words, and we can continue this discussion tomorrow. Joey Rifkin's in the seat the entire week, and dude is freaking bringing it. Closing thoughts, anywhere you want to go.
Just closing thoughts. I think socialism as a whole, probably there's no room for it in America, and definitely not in any near future. And I also totally agree with the negatives that come with socialism. I would counter that with what great innovations have come out of capitalism in the past 10, 15 years. And I would also, I would just close with my main reason behind my beliefs in that is I just feel I would like to have everyone to have at least some sort of equal starting position. I know that that is not possible on a total level, but I just think the cards are stacked against people more than some, and I would just like to see. And to be honest, if it was up to me, we would all be like floating in the ocean somewhere, eating fruit and enjoying ourselves. So, but that's all I have to say about that. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Yeah, dude, it's on fire over here. Joey Rifkin. Joey Rifkin. That's the show, man. Long form content. I think it's the only place being done here is the I Love Seville network like this. We just went 90 minutes straight, JR. Yeah, it's 2 o'clock. Thoroughly enjoyed it, JR. Young Jedi, Joey Rifkin. Tomorrow is the I Love Seville show at 12:30, and tomorrow we're introducing What's Barking Local at 10:15 for the first time. Joey's a dog fan, and tomorrow we're positively talking dogs at 10:15, and then the I Love Seville show at 12:30. Thank you kindly for joining us on a glorious Monday here in Charlottesville, Virginia. So long, everybody.